Imagine a childhood accident. But not just any accident. According to one person's really astonishing testimony, it was less a bump in the road and more like a literal portal to another dimension.
Yeah.
So this deep dive, it starts right there with an experience that, well, this individual claims rewrites pretty much everything you might think you know
Oh,
about life, death, even ancient history.
exactly. We're looking at a whole set of sources, all centered on this one man's, let's say, extraordinary spiritual journey. And he says it all kicked off when he was just 7 years old.
7. Wow.
And these aren't just, personal stories he's telling. He presents them as the basis, the foundation for a completely radical reinterpretation of ancient texts, symbols, structures, everything, really.
Okay, so our mission today is to pull out the most maybe surprising nuggets of knowledge from this perspective, ideas that definitely challenge, conventional wisdom,
Right.
and hopefully give you a kind of shortcut to understanding what it means, at least from this viewpoint, to be well-informed about concepts like immortality and ascension.
And the core idea itself is, well, it's fascinating. What if all these ancient civilizations, secret societies, even stories from the Bible, what if they all share this one unified, hidden message?
A message about who we really are.
Precisely, about our true nature as eternal beings.
Mhm.
And this author suggests the key isn't out there somewhere. It's actually inside each of us, waiting to be, as he puts it, deciphered and, importantly, experienced.
Experienced, okay.
So we're going to explore that possibility, looking at how he spent his life trying to back up these, well, beyond belief experiences he claims to have had.
Right, let's dive into that origin then, the very start of this journey. You mentioned an accident at age 7 on a farm with something called a stone boat.
Yeah, stone boat. It's basically like a heavy sled farmers use for moving rocks. Seems ordinary enough.
But not in this case.
No. What's really fascinating here is how this physical event, this trauma, seems to have kind of cracked open a spiritual pathway for him. He describes being pulled almost magnetically into what he calls an ultra-dimensional stargate.
Pulled from where?
From his backyard pond, believe it or not.
A stargate in a pond.
Okay, and then what?
Well, he enters this other place, and he's met by 3 beings. They're incorporeal, made of light. He gives them names: crystal, clear, and light.
Crystal clear and light. Got it.
And he wasn't human anymore.
No. He says in that state, he was transformed into something he calls an intermediate. And he appeared, interestingly, in the form of a reptilian humanoid.
A reptilian.
Yes. And communication wasn't verbal, it was mental telepathy. Crystal, one of the beings, apparently explained that this transformation was necessary to exist there,
Exist where, exactly?
in what they called an external life portal. And Crystal told him this place was actually his true home, where he originally came from.
His home. So this whole experience wasn't just a one-off vision. It was like a homecoming.
That's how it's presented, yes. And it really sets the stage for what he describes as a lifetime of unique time travels and insights.
Okay, that's a mind-bending start. So if this external life portal is our true home, what does this perspective tell us about, the big questions? Immortality, what are we really?
Well, according to these light beings, our fundamental essence isn't quite the soul we usually think of. They describe it as an incorporeal being. Picture a transparent, glowing nervous system.
A nervous system, like just the nerves glowing?
Sort of, yeah. That's the image he uses. This glowing nervous system is the actual pilot, the human body. That's just the cloak or the vehicle it uses.
A vehicle, so we're just driving these bodies around.
That's the idea. And pain in that light isn't inherently bad. It's more like an alarm system, a trigger to keep the vehicle, the body, alive and functioning.
Right, like the oil light in a car.
Mhm.
Okay, so how does immortality fit in?
Central to that, according to this, is something called the clear light. It's also called the internal life portal.
Internal life portal, okay.
He describes it as an inner eye, or maybe a circular window that resides within us. He even tries to link it to physical parts of the brain, like the neocortex or maybe the pineal gland.
The pineal gland again, so
Yeah.
it's like an internal switch or lens.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And when this clear light is manifested, or let's say opened or activated,
Activated how?
we'll get to that. But when it is activated, it allows the soul, or the pilot, to ascend back to that external life portal, the afterlife home, whatever you want to call it, when the physical body dies.
And then you can choose another life.
Yes, that activation enables the choice. But if the clear light stays closed, stays dormant.
Then you just keep coming back here, Earth.
Exactly. The soul continues to reincarnate on Earth, repeating experiences, basically stuck in the cycle.
Okay, so how do you activate it? You said there was a method?
Crystal apparently gave a very simple, direct technique. It's described like this. When you wake up, lie on your back, keep your eyelids closed. Then quickly look up towards your forehead and then quickly down towards your chest, all while your eyes are still closed.
Look up, then down, eyes closed.
And you should see circles of light, or things that look like eyes, appear in your vision. He insists this isn't a daydream or visualization. It's presented as a real, physical, repeatable experience.
Huh. Circles of light.
And he strongly links this to the concept of the third eye, which he feels has been deliberately negated or dismissed over centuries. He calls it the actual communication center to this clear light within us all.
Okay, so beyond that initial contact, he developed this ability further. You mentioned time travel or psychological optics.
Yes, that's the term he uses, psychological optics. He claims this allowed him to essentially access the Akashic records.
The Akashic records, like the cosmic library of everything.
That's the concept, yeah. To explore past lives, future possibilities. He even draws parallels to figures like Nostradamus, Edgar Cayce, Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla.
Suggesting they all used a similar process.
Exactly. He argues it's not some unique superpower, but an inherent human ability that's just been suppressed or forgotten.
How does he, try to validate these time travel claims? That sounds pretty out there.
Well, he shares some intriguing details. For instance, he claims his DNA footprint, his ancestry, matches geographical locations he supposedly visited during these time travels, places like Austria, France, Africa.
Okay. Correlation, maybe? Anything else?
He also recounts a specific shared past life memory with another person. They both apparently recalled the same detailed experience in Versailles, suggesting their destinies were intertwined and validating the process for him.
Interesting. So if these abilities are real, as he claims, and potentially inherent, why aren't we all doing it? Why isn't it taught?
That's the million-dollar question he tackles.
Right.
His answer is suppression. He believes this knowledge has been actively suppressed, even demonized, by what he terms the priesthood society throughout history.
To maintain control.
Essentially, yes, to keep people reliant on external authorities rather than looking within for their own connection or answers.
Right. And this is where it starts to connect back to ancient history, where he really challenges the mainstream interpretations.
Exactly. This is where it gets really interesting. He uses his experiences, his alleged time travels and insights, to argue that most of what experts tell us about antiquity is just wrong, fundamentally misinterpreted.
Why? What are they missing?
He says it's a lack of understanding of metaphor and allegory. He suggests that many so-called experts are just repeating interpretations from previous generations who also missed the deeper symbolic meanings, kind of like a game of historical telephone.
Okay, give me an example.
Sure, take sun gods. Figures like Ra in Egypt or Enlil in Mesopotamia were always told they worship the sun.
Right. Makes sense. Sun gives life.
But he argues that's a mistranslation or a misinterpretation. He says they weren't gods of the sun, they were gods of the clear light.
The clear light, the internal portal thing.
Yes, and that disk you often see depicted over their heads. He claims that symbol represents the internal life portal, the clear light within, not the physical sun in the sky.
Whoa. Okay, that is a different take. What about aliens?
He says the whole concept of aliens from other planets, as we think of them, is basically a misconception. Instead, he talks about ultra-terrestrials.
Ultra-terrestrials. Different from extraterrestrials.
Yes. These are, according to him, the light beings from other dimensions, like crystal, clear, and light. They can cloak themselves to interact with our dimension.
Cloak themselves how?
Appearing as what people report as grays or sometimes orbs, lights, even shadow people. But he's adamant they aren't demons or anything malevolent like popular culture often portrays them.
And the reptilians, he said he appeared as one. What's their role?
His experience as an intermediate reptilian informs his view here. He suggests they were actually original light beings who also cloaked themselves. And they were the first such beings to arrive on Earth, playing a key role in, well, the development of the human race.
So reptilians aren't necessarily the villains of the story.
Not in his telling. And the snake symbol, often associated with evil, especially in Western traditions, he argues it actually represents eternal life, cyclical existence, like the Ouroboros.
Okay, this is rewriting a lot. What about Atlantis, the classic sunken city myth?
Forget the sunken city idea, he says. Atlantis wasn't a city or continent that sank beneath the waves. It was a hollow planetoid.
A hollow planetoid, like a small planet.
Seems so.
Yeah.
And it didn't sink, it just disappeared,
Yeah.
shifted into another dimension.
So when ancient texts talk about islands,
He argues they actually meant planets. And when they mentioned the sea or the ocean,
they meant space.
that's his interpretation. Space travel between worlds, not sea travel between islands.
Mind blown. Okay, what about something closer to home? The moon, what's his take?
He describes the moon as artificial, an artificial structure.
Artificial, built by.
He suggests it served as an intermediate decompression station, a sort of waypoint for Atlanteans coming down to Earth from,
Sure.
well, from wherever Atlantis was.
A space station built by Atlanteans. Wow. He also mentions doctored photos.
Yes, he suggests modern photos of the moon have been altered to hide evidence of artificial structures or objects still there. That's a pretty strong claim.
No kidding. Okay, let's shift back to Egypt for a second. Mummification. We all learned it was to preserve the body for the soul's return in the afterlife, right?
That's the standard explanation. But he offers a different reason,
Which is?
that the pharaohs who practiced it understood the body was just the vehicle. Mummification wasn't for the soul's return to that specific body, but more an act of respect towards the vessel itself. They knew that Ka, the soul or pilot, ascended on its own, especially if the clear light was activated.
So preserving the car after the driver has left, out of respect for the car?
Kind of, yeah. And he points to Akhenaten, the so-called heretic pharaoh, as someone who really understood this. Akhenaten apparently taught that individuals didn't need a priest or intermediary. They could connect directly to the divine light within. He understood the body was temporary, so he had bodies incinerated instead of mummified.
Which is why there's no mummy of Akhenaten.
Yeah, exactly. And according to the author, this defiance of the established priesthood society led to him being banished and labeled a heretic. His core teaching, direct access to the inner light, threatened their control.
This is a consistent theme, suppressed knowledge, inner power. So if we pull all this together, what's the big spiritual takeaway? He mentions ancient symbols and structures being like maps.
Yes, universal maps to ascension. He argues that all these diverse ancient symbols and structures are not actually depicting different things. They're all illustrating the same path.
Which one specifically?
Things like the Egyptian Ankh, the Kabbalist Tree of Life, the Sephirot, the Djed pillar, the Kepler beetle symbol, even the Freemason's ladder or master carpet, and symbols in tarot like the High Priestess card. And, of course, the pyramids themselves.
They all show the same journey.
The journey to spiritual awakening, yes. Achieving that divine light or crown within. They're all different allegorical representations of activating the clear light and ascending.
He mentioned understanding male and female elements being key to deciphering this. What does that mean?
It's symbolic. Female represents the soul, the incorporeal pilot. Male represents the light, the clear light itself.
Okay.
When these two unite within a person, when the soul activates or merges with the clear light, the result is male, meaning total illumination, total light. This unified state is what he refers to as the Father or the Christ within.
The Christ within, not necessarily Jesus Christ, the historical figure, but an internal state of being.
Exactly. A state of achieved enlightenment. And he claims that by manifesting this clear light personally, you essentially achieve what he calls a 33+ degree grandmaster status. Meaning you transcend any external hierarchy, like those in secret societies. You don't need their secrets because you've found the ultimate secret within yourself. You become your own guru.
That's incredibly empowering, if true. What about places like Göbekli Tepe or Stonehenge, these ancient stone circles?
He views them not just as astronomical calendars or ritual sites, but as symbolic representations of those portals or stargates like the one he experienced. They're reminders of the connection to the other side, to other dimensions.
Can we use them? Can we walk into Stonehenge and pop into another dimension?
He says no, not physically anyway. They're symbols, reminders. Entry into those actual portals requires being summoned or facilitated by the light beings. They aren't just open doors. But the core message of all these ancient allegories, he insists, is ascension. That's the key.
So connecting all these threads, what's the ultimate grand picture he paints? Our place in the cosmos, humanity's future.
He describes Earth fundamentally as a place of conception, like a garden designed to cultivate and continue human life, human experience.
And reincarnation is part of that gardening process.
Yes, for those who haven't activated their clear light, they keep cycling through, replanting themselves, so to speak. He also adds that the light beings themselves participate. They cloak themselves in human bodies to experience life here directly.
But there's a warning in his vision too, right? About Earth's future.
Yes, quite a stark one. He recounts a time travel vision where he saw Earth just disappear from the solar system, vanish.
Why? What causes it?
He links it directly to humanity's current trajectory, what he calls our self-eroding behavior and intelligence. But he gets more specific, too. He points to the development of robots with human brains.
AI, or something more literal.
It sounds like something quite advanced, maybe biological integration. He sees this development as becoming a fundamental threat to the human cloak itself, the very vehicle the light beings use to experience this reality.
A threat how? Replacing humans? Making the vehicle unusable?
The implication seems to be that it disrupts the natural cycle, perhaps making the human form unsuitable or unavailable as a vessel for these incorporeal beings. It's a fascinating and slightly chilling thought.
So this puts our whole civilization into a much larger cyclical context.
Exactly, like seasons. He suggests previous civilizations might have reached similar points, some perhaps disappeared by ascending en masse, others may be self-destructed. It's the Ouroboros cycle, the snake eating its tail representing endless cycles of creation, destruction, and rebirth.
Wow. Okay, so we've just taken quite a journey ourselves exploring this really astonishing testimony. It completely reframes things like immortality, ancient history, our own potential.
Absolutely. From that childhood accident supposedly opening a portal to reinterpreting all these sacred symbols and myths.
The core idea seems to be that the biggest secrets aren't locked away in some vault. They're right here, inside us, just maybe obscured.
Obscured by layers of misinterpretation, potentially generations of misinformation, focusing on the external instead of the internal.
And that really brings up a question for you listening right now. What if those extraordinary abilities we read about, people like Nostradamus, Da Vinci, the wisdom of ancient sages, what if that's not just myth?
What if it's actually an inherent capacity? Dormant, perhaps, but inside you, waiting to be rediscovered, reawakened.
So here's a final thought to chew on. What if the real key, the ultimate key to freedom, to maybe even eternal life, isn't about joining a secret group or finding a lost artifact or performing complex ritual?
What if it's simpler? What if it's about that deliberate, conscious, internal act of just turning on a light within? A knowledge, this author claims, that's available to absolutely anyone who truly dares to look for it.